hope you're ready for this.
Gonna be fun.
You will not stand in my way.
Frostborn, hunger. This pleases me.
I do not fear you, mortal.
Your soul shall be mine.
Don't make me laugh.
Needs a brew? Oh, I do. Feel a shredding, baby. Let the battle begin.
So hello and welcome to the 11th episode of Trollin HGC, a Heroes of the Storm eSports podcast. Wow, I mess that up every time. Focused on eSports, a member of the Trolls.gg podcast network. I'm your host, LiQuiuD, and I'm joined today by Bacon. How's it going, man?
Hello again. It's good to be here and filling in.
It's great to have you, man. It's great to have you. I was telling you before the show, we love having you on the show. We gel. It works good, and you watch esports almost as much as I do when you have the time. Maybe not as much as I do. I don't think there are a lot of people that do, but you watch esports a lot, so it's good to have conversations with you because you get it. But before we jump into that too much, so why don't you tell everybody where they can find you?
Oh yeah, you can find me at Twitter at Bacon Huts. And the podcast I'm a part of, the Game Push Squad, I must have plugged this like 40 times already on this show.
That's all right, man.
Game Push Squad. But www.gamepushsquad.com. But I have some actual new news to, I guess, plug.
Yep.
This Friday, the Game Push Squad is going to be going live for the first time.
Nice.
And we're going to try to make it a big event, have some video-only segments, and like give out codes for like BattleNet balances and maybe even some hero codes if we get our hands on them, but probably not. But we'll be giving out some stuff, and you can see all the other Game Push Squad members' faces and see how ugly they are.
That's great news, man. I know you've been working hard on that. That's great news. I also heard a little rumor that you guys might be trying to get Argy from Heroes Hype on there. I told him he should definitely do it, that you guys were good guys. So hopefully you guys can land him as a guest on one of your shows.
Argy. Ogre says also my volume is a little bit lower compared to yours, LiQuiuD. So.
Oh, I can fix that. I can fix that easy. No, man. But, production's important. We got to fix these things.
Argy, funny story is I've had him on my friends list for like the past year and a half because I actually raided with him in World of Warcraft. And he and I together, we were able to get US 18th Mythic Archimon.
All right.
Warlords.
All right.
Yeah.
You know what then? I didn't realize it was you that he was talking to, because he did mention I used to apparently raid with one of the Gang Push Squad, and I didn't realize that was you. So I'm totally going to tell him that, yes, he definitely needs to do the show, that you are also a co-host of my show. I can vouch for you. He's got to go on. So I'm gonna lean into that where I can for you, because I hope you guys.
Oh, no, we've already gotten him.
Do you? All right, man.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not keeping up with everything. I'm glad to hear you've gotten him. That's excellent news, man. Excellent news.
No, man, he is a great guy. He's a great druid when I play with him. So, yeah, it should be fun.
You know what?
I just logged on BattleNet today, and then he was like, "Hey, are you part of a podcast?" I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, he
we
was
got to talking.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome. I want you guys. I look at this. There's like this newer tier of Heroes of the Storm podcasts that are running around, right? And you guys are ahead of us. I'm not trying to say like we're in the same boat as Gang Push Squad, but
no,
my point is
we're part of the same generation, I guess, because
right?
we're part of that crew like a year and a half-ish after the game's out, and we're past all the first generation, the people who did it during beta, right?
Right. And
so
I
say we're part of generation 2.
Generation 2, I like that. And I was talking about that in the Heroes Hype Discord, how like we're all just trying to get more popular because we don't have the Generation 1 like core numbers and into the night. Like we don't have those numbers, right? And we want to get there. But more importantly, like we're providing more content in Heroes of the Storm and unique content in both our case here on Trollin HGC and Gang Push Squad, right? Like I've never heard any other podcast but you guys cover different levels of play and how the meta breaks down at that level, which is really cool. Like I love what you guys are doing. So that's awesome that I'm definitely gonna have to add that to my calendar Friday. What time are you guys going live?
7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific.
All right, I'm gonna have to add that to my calendar. I don't want to miss that. So and you guys should.
Wait, you're not gonna you're gonna push aside HGC so you can watch us. Wow, that is.
It's bye week, baby. There is no HGC.
Oh, okay. Only for this
only
week.
For
then,
this
huh?
week. Only for this week.
Oh, okay.
No, next week I'll probably have you on the computer and HGC on the TV, right? I can do two things at once. I have listened to scrims and to actual tournament play from a team I'm managing while doing a podcast. So I think if I can handle that, I think I can handle watching two streams at one time, right? There's a reason multi-Twitch exists. So, but that's awesome, man. I'm excited for you guys.
Thanks. It should be fun. I put a lot of work into it. And hopefully, people are receptive
Cool.
to it.
Well, good. I'm looking forward to that. But back on topic. Now that we got that part out of the way, Patreon.com/TrollsGG. The Nexus Trolls and Trollin HGC, both members of the Trolls.gg network. I mean, we started Trolls.gg when Daz and I came up with the idea that, hey, I want to do a second show. I'm going to do Trollin HGC. And Daz is like, well, how do we make this work right? And so we came up with Trolls.gg, decided, yeah, we're going to do our own podcast network, which is just the two of us, which is fine. But we are sharing that Patreon account. Any money that's sent to that Patreon account or to subscribing to our Twitch or to cheering us on Twitch is going directly into us purchasing some swag to give away to all of our viewers at BlizzCon. So we're going to get some t-shirts made up. We're going to get some pinhole sunglasses made up with the Trolls GG logo on it. And we're going to give those away at BlizzCon. In fact, Daz and I are going to try and finalize some of those plans on Friday. So if you like us and you want a way to support us, head over to patreon.com/TrollsGG or subscribe on Twitch or just cheer on Twitch. You know, any of the above do help out in that. And in that kind of vein, we have a Troll of the Week that we've been doing for probably the past 4 weeks. This week, Giggle Schmack, who listens to the Nexus Trolls, wrote in and said, thanks to the interview that we did with Stixa last week, he cast his first chair league game on Tuesday, this past Tuesday, yesterday.
Oh.
So that
nice.
to me, that was awesome, right? Like, here's a guy that listened to our podcast, deciding, you know what, I'm going to go try this, and cast his first game in chair league on Tuesday. So if you watch us or you listen to us here at Trollin HGC and you're interested in that, you literally just need a microphone to cast. You need a microphone, a computer capable of casting to Twitch, and then obviously a Twitch account, and you can cast a game. It's pretty easy. Join Chair League as a caster. Their Discord has a casters channel. You can ask all the other casters questions. They'll help you out. It's a really, really friendly community for casting, and be a part of this esports thing that you obviously love because you're listening to a show focused on esports.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I have a bunch of respect for casters that are not in the top tier, kind of the middle tier to the chair league area, because it's a labor of love and it's really hard to cast and it's talk for that length of time, and the Game Push Cup, whenever we go over 2 hours, we're like completely exhausted by the end of it, and I can't imagine being able to for multiple hours be the camera that you have to look at the minimap constantly to see where the action is and then properly call talents and get hyped whenever there are big team fights. I mean,
it's brutal.
Work.
I did a Open Division Cup about a month ago with Rosai, who was on one of the teams in Creators of the Storm. And it starts at 9 and I think we finished at 2. And it was just like, it was 9 Eastern to 2 a.m. Eastern, and it was brutal, man. By the time I went to bed, I couldn't talk. I was just like, oh my God, I need to sleep. I'm seeing cross-eyed. So, but no, it's a great time. So, and like I said, you literally for Chair League, you don't need much. You need a microphone so people can hear you, a Twitch account, and a computer capable of running HOTS and like OBS.
And a decent memory, I have to say, because there are a lot of talents in this game. Wow.
The talents is probably my biggest struggle, because I focus so much on warriors. I don't remember all the talents. I'll remember, like, if I hover them, I'm like, oh yeah, that's that. So like, every once in a while, if you watch my stream, you'll see me hover a talent and go, oh yeah, okay. And then I can start talking about it, because I know what the effect is, but I can't remember what it's called or exactly how many stacks they need to get, like that kind of thing. So I'll look at it.
Right. I mean, like, we all know Vala's Hungering Arrow build, but what are the actual talent names for 1, 4, and 7? Like, damn.
Right, and those are the things that like you watch even the top tier casters, you're like, Jesus. But like when you think about it, like that's their job, right? They're doing that all day, every day, and like that's what they're working on. So cool. All right. So let's jump into some news. We don't have a whole lot because, like I said, it's a bye week. Hence, the title episode this week is Bye, Bye, Bye. Yes, totally ripping that
Is that why?
Yes, that is why. And I totally did take that from, oh my God, why am I going Backstreet Boys?
NSYNC, Backstreet Boys?
Backstreet
Which one
Boys.
is it?
It was Backstreet Boys. All right, I can't sing it to save my life, and that's okay. But that's what we're going with. Because there's a bye, there's nothing to really preview, and there's not a whole lot of news because we're like in that kind of lull before we get back into the regular season where stuff starts happening again. But there will be 2 show matches at Gamescom this weekend. So if you need your bit of fix for HGC type action, you can get some of that there. We are going to see Team Expert take on Team LiQuiud. And then we're going to see 2 teams of streamers, Team Ape Crime and Team Piet Smiet. Both promising games, right? LiQuiud Expert should be a great game. ADRD always wants to put on a show. That's actually going to be Wednesday, August 23rd. So not even this weekend, but next Wednesday. And then the second game is going to be all YouTubers and all casters. That's going to be Friday, August 25th. So link to the actual article is in our show notes. You can check it out there. It's a Blizzard EU article. Should be fun and at least something to watch, you know, during the HGC downtime that we have right now.
Well, this Gamescom, exactly about a year ago, this is when Machines of War was announced.
Yep.
This is when Braxis Holdout, Warhead Junction, Alarak, Zarya,
yep.
all at once.
The Kerrigan, the cool Kerrigan skin.
Kerrigan skin, yeah.
Yeah.
So who knows what we're gonna get? There are some rumblings for, you know, spoiler alert. There's a Kel'Thuzad.
Yes.
That's been mentioned here and there, and you know, well, for every freaking hero release, there's
it's always Kel'Thuzad, right? Kel'Thuzad and Deathwing, so, every time. Yeah. I'm really curious what
do you want a
announce.
map or a major UI element?
I want Machines of War 2.0. I want them to say we're gonna release some World of Warcraft maps, or some
really?
like straight up Warcraft style maps, like a map or 2, some heroes, you know. And World of Warcraft would fit in with Kel'Thuzad, would fit in with Deathwing, right? Like it's a possibility. That's what I'm looking for. I don't know that we're gonna see that, but that would be awesome to see, in my opinion. So.
I think personally, in my heart, if they announce one hero, that's fine. But as long as they announce things like better ban system, like better reporting system, better matchmaking, you know, maybe guilds or clans. Guilds or clans would be huge.
Guilds or clans would be huge. I don't think we'll see some. It depends, right? We could possibly see that, but I feel like more than likely. So here's my problem. If they only release
in-game tournament system,
that would be cool. That would be
because
like,
StarCraft
epic.
has that.
That would be really cool. I guess my biggest problem is that if they only release one hero, then there's nothing like special about it, right? They release a hero every 2 weeks anyway. I'm not saying they're only
gonna do one hero. I'm just saying, like, if that's what we got, but we also got all these other features,
then that would be good.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
I would be good with that.
I'm sure they're gonna announce like two heroes, maybe a map.
Right. I mean, that's probably what they would say. A HOTS voice UI. I still struggle with that. I disagree with them adding that into the game because there's too much room for abuse that way.
Well, what does he mean? What does Ogre mean by HOTS voice UI?
I'm assuming he means a UI so that you can actually have voice chat within HOTS instead of like the Blizzard Battle.net I have to friend you chat, but like we're on a team chat.
They have to have that. It's crazy that they don't have that yet.
See, but I feel like that's
I know you're a little bit skeptical about it, but the games that have that system, it's, you know, you're 1 or 2 clicks away from muting that person. So
fair enough.
Like that guy's being a butthead and he's flaming or trolling the voice chat, then you just click on the mute button and he's completely muted for the rest of the game. Like goodbye.
Yeah,
So-
that's true. That's true. I guess. I don't know. I still struggle with that, but I totally get what you're saying, right?
Imagine the level of coordination that could be possible. Like, there are
Yeah.
so many subtle things that you can say really quick, but you don't have the time to chat. Like
Yeah, that's true.
focus Ming, it's pretty hard to type that
To
in the middle of a
type.
team fight, but you can say it during,
Yeah.
hectic fights.
And unfortunately, pinging is not always enough. So, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because pinging adds to the clutter of the text,
Yeah.
You're not always reading text when there's a team fight going on.
All right. I will stand corrected by you two. Plus, I'm used to everybody being on Discord anyway. So it's like, I don't climb the Hero League ladder like you do, man. So, but I get it. I get it.
I'm sure it'll help because I think trolls tend to troll more in a text form, and if it's voice to voice, I think it's a little bit more personal. Don't you think there will be a lot less instances of actual bad trolling over voice? At least that's how I see it.
Yeah, and you could be right too. That could absolutely be the case.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move into some results. Because I remember asking you last week, who's going to win Eastern Clash? And you told me I can't be on the show. Oh, you know what? Actually, before I do that, hold on. I'm going to switch us. All right. Because I wanted to bring up the, actually, to the right, have the ladder. So everybody can see the
nice.
tournament ladder. I remember asking you, you said, no, 100% MVP Black's going to win.
Yep.
And then Tempest said, sorry. At least the first time around, right? So they were good games. Look, MVP smoked Deadly Kittens, which everybody kind of expected. I was a little surprised Tempest beat CE 2-1. That kind of surprised me. And then Tempest taking MVP Black to 5 full games in the semifinals.
Yeah. Tempest is so inconsistent though. They look on fire some series and then they just like barely are passable as a
Squeak by.
team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that's a good point, right? Because in the semifinals, Tempest beat MVP Black 3-2, but then in the
3-0,
losers
not even
finals,
close.
yeah, they just got spanked. And it's like, what? And that's after taking L5 to 5 games. So it was just like,
Yeah.
what? Like, it just doesn't, the consistency for Tempest isn't quite there yet, but it speaks volumes to the fact that Korea has like 3 solid top tier teams at this point, I think.
Yeah, they do have top tier teams, 3 of them for sure at least, but doesn't matter because Fnatic, they look unstoppable right now.
Oh yeah, dude, and we're gonna spend some time talking about that because that's like they absolutely do. But all right, so to just give everybody the rundown, L5 did end up winning. MVP Black finished in 2nd place, Tempest in 3rd, and CE, the lone Chinese team to finish in a place higher than or in the top 4, finished 4th. Actually, no, that's it because Team Face Check and Soul Torturers were both outside of China. So yeah, Super Perfect Team got booted.
Wasn't Team Face Check Taiwan?
Yes, Team Face Check was Taiwan. Soul Torturers and Deadly Kittens are Southeast Asia. And E-Star didn't go because they had visa issues again. So
Yeah,
that's how we got
like
2
always,
Southeast
as is
Asias.
tradition.
Right. So that's what we got. Now the question that I would put forward to you is who's gonna have. Well, you know what? I'm gonna ask you that later. Let me just note it because I don't want to forget it. Because when we go into that, like this is actually a great question. All right, so with that said, now some of the cool stats that I pulled out of so MasterLeague.net does a stats post every time, and some of the cool stats I pulled out of that were 48 of 69 heroes were picked, which I think is just 1 behind what happened in the Western Clash. It might be 3 though. And then we had the most popular were Ariel, Genji, Tassar, and Uther. So 3 supports and the craziest damage dealer that exists in the game right now.
Well, right behind Uther was Rhaegar.
Yes.
So it's
Yeah, it was
top
like
5 or
top 5. It was 4 supports. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And then top first picks were Genji, Ariel, and And for all the Genji love, best win rate was Tassadar and then Illidan. Tassadar with a 17-9 and Illidan with a 12-7. But the other cool thing I thought was interesting is we saw double warrior was played 60% of the time and double support was played 42% of the time. So that was kind of interesting to me. It definitely shows how the meta has shifted towards that. But then the question becomes, you know, why is that the case, right? Like, is it because they, like, that's so much stronger, and is that going to change based on patches, or like, what's going to happen with that? But then Go ahead.
Right now, I would say I can kind of speak to the double support because Ariel is so popular right now. And if you have a pretty good hope generator, then you're just sustaining the entire team fight, and then add another support on top of that, like Tassadar,
right?
Or a half support like Tyrande, or even just another full support like Rhaegar. Like Ariel Rhaegar has so much sustain, and nowadays supports, like with the constant patches of making healers less healy and more utility based, actually made them able to heal and do damage. So this is why the double support meta is so prominent lately. And you know, this is something that we take for granted and abuse on the Hero League side,
right?
Or, you know, Masters and lower. But these pros, they can take these metas and abuse the hell out of them.
Yes.
And they drag out fights. They can control the team fight, you know, as long as they want, because they have, you know, double support or double tank, just so much sustain and tankiness and damage absorption abilities, and just being able to trade. So you see sometimes team fights go on for 30-45 seconds and both teams walk away you know, no one's dead because, you know, you can't finish anyone off. And that's also partly why Genji is so popular, because his dash ability is able to close out kills so efficiently.
Right, exactly.
Because, you know, it's such a long range. You can walk, the low player on the enemy team can start walking away, but a simple Genji dash completely, you know, negates that positioning value, because Genji's able to access the backline with one ability.
Yeah. No, and that makes sense. That makes sense. The other thing I thought was really interesting was the widest hero pool. 3 players, like the top 3 all had 9 heroes that they played across the tournament. All 3 of them on MVP Black, and that was Reset, Rich, and Sake. Which was, you know, that goes to the points that you were making. MVP Black should actually do really well at this tournament. They struggled a little bit with, you know, getting quite where they needed to get, but I feel like they did a decent job with what they had. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think they did okay, but I think just L5 came prepared and had their number. Going into the finals and the series MVP Black L5, I think L5 knew what MVP Black was trying to do, because all tournament long MVP Black was playing very aggressive, you know, catering to Rich's playstyle. Because if you watch Rich play Hero League, he's playing all the very aggressive carry heroes, and you know, he winded his hero pool, but all those heroes are also aggressive, you know, divey heroes, right? So L5 came into that picking double support, double tank to draw out team fights, and what they did was wait for MVP Rich to overextend and then kill him. Because if you see the series, every time like there's a team fight, Rich would initiate, and then L5 would kind of fight but draw back, and then Rich would follow up on that positioning, and he would overextend, and they would pick him off every time 5v1.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Yeah.
And you know, they just tilted Rich. He's my boy, but he was played like a fiddle the entire series.
Well, that's kind of how Tempest ended up beating MVP Black back in the semifinals too, right? And they not quite as cleanly as L5 did, clearly, but they kind of had a similar, we're not going to play MVP Black's game, we're going to play our game and make them play to us.
Yeah.
And then they forgot to do that, I feel like, in the losers finals.
No, it could be just like a communication error on MVP Black side that, Rich is trying to do this or that, and
Right.
there's not proper follow-up. But at the same time, Rich is so deep that no matter what the team does, I mean, sometimes you just can't help if Maltha is in the back line silenced, not doing anything.
Right. Like, there's nothing you can do at that point, right?
Yeah.
All right, so the last two stats I wanted to cover, just top KDAs for players and teams. So the top KDA at Eastern Clash was SDE from L5 with a 13.2. Second place was Kyocha from MVP Black with a 9. And then if you look at the breakdown, in the top 5, it's just L5 or MVP Black. 3 of the top 5 were from L5, and 2 of them were from MVP Black. So it's clear that those two teams kind of dominated overall. The only thing I would say is they also had the most games played, so it's a little easier to get a higher KDA, right, if you're playing well and have the most games played. Same thing happened with Fnatic and Breeze with that incredible, like, 114 KDA or whatever he had, right, which was insane. And then the top KDA teams were L5 in number 1 with 1.6 and MVP Black coming in second with 1.2. So that's kind of, I guess, what I would have expected at that point, given what they had done and how the tournament had progressed. Did anything else jump out at you at the Eastern Clash that was like, oh, this is really cool, or oh my god, I can't believe that just happened?
Not really, because once I saw the finals and MVP Black just kind of sizzled out, I was like, I'm done with this tournament.
Yeah, it was L5 pretty much just had their way with them. It was kind of crazy. I agree.
But it does surprise me that Reset, Rich, and Sake have a pretty wide hero pool. Maybe if they, narrowed it a little bit and honed their stronger picks.
Yeah, that's possible.
I don't know. Maybe they were just trying too many different things. But, it seems like that the Eastern meta is kind of copying the European meta. What do you think about that?
Yes and no. So one of the things that Tetcher pointed out, today.
Well, I kind of say that because, the Eastern players have their own meta picks like Tyrio. Like
Right. Okay.
Korea used Tyrio forever before any of the other regions used it, but no one. Like, Korea didn't start using Stitches until Fnatic, and Dignitas dominated with them.
Yeah, okay. So for some things, yes, I could see that being the case. I think mid-season Brawl changed some of the Eastern meta based on how well Fnatic did with certain heroes. But I still feel like they play it. So they may take some of the meta picks, but they play it in their style, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it'll be.
I mean, it's kind of a tough question just to throw on you because it's hard to answer that question without having the spreadsheet in front of you.
Right.
So
yeah. I'm trying to think back to all the picks and like run through all of the drafts and try to figure out. It's a tough question to answer right now.
Yeah, but
that might be a good topic.
Was pretty prominent. Stitches and Tassadar and Illidan were pretty prominent in this tournament.
That's a
Illidan is usually kind of a more Asian pick.
Oh, 100%. But that's a good topic. I think I might have to spend some time. If I have some time, I'm going to go through the clashes to figure out like what we saw where and even how did this change based on like what happened in mid-season Brawl and how that changed regular seasons from phase 2 part 2 to phase 1 part 2 to phase 2 part 1, right? And like see if some of that changed, right? Because Stitches was a thing at mid-season Brawl. It wasn't just a thing here at Western Clash. And you know, and kind of look at that. That's a good thing. Worst case, I might feed that to Trent and see what he comes up with, and maybe he'll write an article about it. But that's a good idea. All right, let's jump into some amateur scene stuff. There are no previews right now because there's no games. Like, how are we gonna have previews if there's no games? Sorry. I Rush You Down just came up with a good discussion topic that I did want to talk to you about tonight. So let me just add that. So we will talk about that I Rush You Down when we get down to discussion topics. But amateur scene. All right, so EU Open Division just had another cup this week. Monday, Tuesday, just finished up. We had the top 4 in the semifinals. We had Leftovers versus Polska Pamieta. Leftovers losing 0-2. And then we had Always Lucky versus Run It Down, winning, I'm sorry, 2-1. Which gave us a third place match of Leftovers versus Run It Down. Leftovers winning that 2-0. And then the finals, we had Polska Pamieta playing Always Lucky. Polska Pamieta ending up losing 1-2, which gives us a slight change in our top 4 standings right now in the EU Open Division. We have Leftovers sitting at number 1 with 480 points. Looks like they may be starting to pull away, even though they only finished 3rd place this week. Bushido Esports not even placing top 4. In fact, I don't think they even played this week. Sitting in 2nd place at 355. Run It Down at 3rd place with 345, and Always Lucky moving up into 4th place with 210 points, just getting in there. Squeaking out Shishaijin, which has, right? Which has been around for a couple of weeks, but just got squeezed out of the top 4. Then in NA, we do have an Open Cup up. I believe it is next week. I'm just double checking that right now. If so, we have right now in the top 4 for NA, we have, next week, August 25th or 21st. We have Donkeys R Us in 1st place at 390. Held It Down in 2nd place by 360. Those two teams are like right on top of each other. Then we have Flame is Lame.
It kind of seems pretty clear that they're going to be the two.
Unless. Possibly. So the next two, Flame is Lame and Imported Support at 275 and 270, have taken games and series off both Hold It Down and Donkeys R Us. But Donkeys R Us and Held It Down have been like in rare form, like in perfect form almost, the past couple of weeks, where we have like they're constantly going to the finals, rather past couple of cups, right? And then we have Flame is Lame and usually Firm Handshake now finishing in the 3 and 4 position. So it's gonna be close. It's certainly closer, I think, in NA than it is in EU. And either, like, once it comes to the tournament, man, things happen. The top 8 are tight right now in NA Open Division, so I could see that not necessarily being the case. Although at the same time, I definitely want to see Crowan get back into HGC, especially via Crucible. That would, like, make my day if he got into HGC again.
He's been streaming like a madman. He seems hungry for it.
He has, and like Held It Down getting in would be huge. I would love to see that. Like that would make my day. So we'll see what happens. And then just released like a couple hours ago, Tespa has brought back their training grounds. And what training grounds is it's like a precursor to Dorm, if you will, right? So it's kind of a tournament system that they run. It's for the fall semester. Only college students, just like Heroes of the Dorm. And it's basically you can sign up to either do 0 matches a week or 2 matches a week. And you'll get matched against teams of similar skill levels. And then, obviously, just like Dorm, it's only US and Canada. And there'll be prizes. First place gets 150 in BattleNet balance per player. All the way down to 21st through 32nd place each gets $10 in BattleNet balance per player. I'm not going to go through all of them. You can check out the show notes. I have a link to it, and I also broke down all the dollar amounts in the show notes itself. But players that finish at least 8 matches will also be free. Man, I'm a hot mess, bro. All right, players that finish at least 8 matches will receive a free Heroes t-shirt for participating. So if you have any interest in Dorm and you're a college student, like, can't hurt, right? At least you can start kind of feeling out some of the competition.
Is it like a collegiate cheer league? That's what it seems like.
I think it's a mix between collegiate chair league and Tempo Storm Heroes Hype series. So it's a little more serious than chair league, but it's not as serious as open division.
It's like one or two steps above a beer league style.
Yes.
Kind of.
Yeah. It's because it's like it's supposed to be the warm up for Dorm, right? So the idea is you want to take it a little bit more seriously. You know, you're gonna get more competitive teams and teams focused strictly on this is a good way for us to get ready for Dorm. Not just like open division is also a good way for people to get ready for Dorm. If you think back to when Dorm was going on, in the spring, we had a ton of teams in open division that were also Dorm teams, right? So kind of that type of feel or vibe. So yeah, all good things. Lots of movement in the amateur scene right now for both NA and EU, of course. So I know I have yet to like Bahgz can't follow it. Like nobody really follows amateur as much as I do, so I know it's like it's a lot, man. I get it. So
you're a fan of amateurs, huh?
Well, I'm a fan of all Heroes of the Storm esports. That's the way I'm answering
That's not where I was going, but
I know, man. That's how I'm gonna answer it, though. See, I know what's up. All right, so let's talk about a couple of discussion things. I know I have Fnatic Unstoppable right at the top, like I did last week. But before we jump into that, LiQuiuD had a good question. What happened with Nventic? I don't know if you noticed, but late last week, Kenma basically said, yeah, I'm not the coach at Nventic. They couldn't, come up with the money to pay me. Scrubbed all mention of Nventic from his Twitter profile.
But he kind of also said it in a cocky way.
Well, yeah, I mean, he said it in a Kenma way. Like,
in a burning bridges sort of way, which was not cool.
But that's what leads to the interesting thing. Shortly after that happened, all of the rest of the Nventic players completely wiped Nventic from their profile. And the Nventic Twitter account is has no tweets at all. It says it has 2, but I think they're hidden tweets now because they couldn't get rid of them. And nothing, right? There's literally nothing there.
Yeah.
It's blank. I'm looking right at it right now. It's blank. So, the question was, what happened? Is the org dead? Reddit went crazy. Go ahead.
I heard in the rumor mill that they just ran out of money.
See, that's what I heard. I heard the money dried up, and but then I'm asking myself, well, what were they spending it on? Realistically,
I mean, I hear even if it's a lower HGC team, it's pretty expensive to run esports teams, right?
Yeah, but it's not Go ahead.
They're barely making minimum wage for the players that are in HGC. Just because you're an HGC team doesn't mean you've made bank. You actually need to start winning all the tournaments and start streaming and doing all that. But the Nventic players didn't stream. They're not winning. They've barely scraped by the Crucible. So,
but that doesn't mean the org is spending a bunch of money on the players, right? If you look at what
now, is Nventic heroes only organization?
Yes, they were heroes only. And if you look at some of the chatter that Chris from old LiQuiuD, I think it was LiQuiuD, yes, and is saying a lot of orgs don't pay their team's salary. Blizzard pays for the sense. Blizzard's paying for the travel to the tournaments if you qualify. What do you you're buying branded shirts, right? What do you?
I guess so.
That's my confusion, right? I totally get that you can run out of money. I'm not trying to make light of it. I struggle with what was Nventic spending its money on that now they're out of money, because I heard the same thing.
Is Nventic making any money?
Well, that's the struggle, right?
You're spending.
If you're not bringing any in, then what are you really doing? And that's
Yeah.
true, right? They weren't winning any tournaments.
And also, Nventic is kind of a joke in the hero scene. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah, like Nventic is the truth of NA LOL, right? So
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a combination of they're not bringing any money, and the players are barely making any. They're the last, like they're a joke in the scene. I mean, there's not much to say. I think. Like, I think it's a very straightforward thing.
yeah, no, and I'm sure that's what happened, but I just I
Just
look
cut
at that
your
and I'm like,
losses and just move on.
which
That's
makes
why.
sense, right? That's probably where Nventic was, but like I struggle with you got into esports for a reason. Did you have a plan, or were you like seat of your pants flying this thing, right? Like you had to come into it with a plan. Right? Like
To answer Chief Ratchet's question, the salary is if you make it throughout the entire year, you're getting 20K a player. The whole team gets 100K a year. And then
didn't think
if
it
you
was the
divide that
year,
up
though, was
by
it? I
5.
thought it was per. I thought they redid it.
No, it's 50.
Oh yeah, you're right. It's 50 per
half.
part. Yeah, 50 per part.
Yeah. So it's 100K for a team for the entire year, and then you divide that up by 5. That's 20K, assuming the team doesn't get a cut, which I'm sure they did.
No, they
are.
weren't
And then-
supposed to. They were
Oh,
not
really?
supposed
It's a
to.
direct.
It was supposed to go direct to the players. Now,
But it's 20K a year.
yeah, and that's clearly not a living wage, so I totally understand it. I get that, and actually, Ratchet, those are the questions I've had. Like, how are they getting paid, and like how often, and is it
Is
like
it
a bulk
monthly?
payment, or like those? I have those same questions, and I've asked and have never actually gotten an answer, which kind
I'm
of
sure
is
that's-
disappointing. But you know,
I don't think we'll get answers to those kinds of numbers.
no, we won't. But like, then you look at Fnatic, and like Fnatic is just killing it this year, right? They got the 100K because they clearly made it January to November. They got 100K for midseason brawl, 70K for their placements in phase 2 and phase 1, right? And another 30K for their win at Western Clash. Like they're
And if you add in the streaming numbers,
right.
they
Well, and that was the catch. Nventic didn't do any of that stuff,
yeah.
so I'm sure that's why they
Well,
folded.
the thing with like Tomster, like the Ventic Tomster, right?
Right.
I've played with him in Hero League and stuff, and him as a support, he's not even the top in terms of supports for Team Naventic. He's top 5 supports. That's what I'm gonna say.
Well, here's the thing, right?
I've
Like
seen
that
him
team
play
is a
in Hero
team
League.
without
He's not-
direction.
I don't even know how. Anyway,
That team is completely a team without direction. I could understand if Naventic was hiring a real coach, a real manager, a real like some other things, but they're not. So, I don't know. Yeah.
but the question is, now that Naventic's out, what's gonna happen to that spot? Because we don't have a clear.
The players haven't left
You know,
yet.
even in Death won the thing, right?
The players haven't left. The sponsor is gone.
Or they can rename the team and just keep that spot.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
It's just a team. That's the same thing that just look. No Tomorrow was just sponsored by Space Station Gaming. I have no idea why I forgot to add that to the news, but No Tomorrow was just sponsored by Space Station Gaming this week.
Congratulations to them.
Right. But so like if you go out to Master League, they're no longer No Tomorrow. Now they're Space Station Gaming, but the place
Okay.
and the roster and all of that stays the same, right? It's just now they are Space Station Gaming
Right.
instead of No Tomorrow.
Right. Because now that you mentioned that, the team is up to 3 players. You know, up to 2 players leaving, and the 3 core are still the team that hold
Right.
the spot. I remember that.
Right. So it'll be interesting to see what they like next Friday will be interesting to see what they're called. Right? Because you know, the Blizzard site, I'm double checking right now, but I think the Blizzard site still has them named as Fnatic now. dude, as Naventic, they do, and they're playing, and they've already renamed No Tomorrow to Space Station Gaming. So maybe one org hasn't talked to the other org yet, because they're the first game up, Naventic versus Space Station Gaming, Friday, 5 p.m. on the 25th. I don't know, but I do know that Naventic as an org seems to be gone. So,
Well, rip Naventic, I guess.
I mean, let's be honest. There's like the odds on them getting through another Crucible, not the greatest at this
Yeah,
point.
and I rushed it down in chat saying Zuna is barely playing the game.
I mean, Zoya said the same thing right before the Crucible. And Zuna was like, no, I'm totally playing the game. But Zoya said the same thing going into the Crucible. They weren't scrimming. Zuna wasn't playing the game. It's a mess.
Chief Ratchet in chat's asking, Bacon, could I make it into Naventic's roster? Bro, hey, I've seen you play. Keep dreaming.
Not to mention, like, would you really
Naventic's
want to?
bad, but not that bad.
But would you really want to? That's the real question.
Yeah,
So-
do you even want to make it in there?
Is that something you want to do? I don't think it is.
Every time I'm in a game with an Naventic player, they get teased, man.
I just noticed
Yeah.
something else. I'm looking at the schedule. There are no Korean games scheduled in week 6. Same with China.
I don't know what's up. Maybe they have a special event or something.
I'm sorry, not just week 6. Like all of Phase 2 Part 2 is blank right now.
Maybe they're not done with scheduling.
It's got to be that, because that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. All right. So let's go somewhere else. Let's go into. I made this question really generic because I kind of wanted to pounce it on you. What happened at the Eastern Clash? Like, how did that go? How did that end up going the way that it did? We talked a little bit about it. MVP Black wanted to play like MVP Black, and that didn't work out the best way for them. But what else? Like,
For me, the biggest surprise are the Taiwanese teams, and that they've taken games off of Korea and the MVP Black and the Chinese teams. So, like in previous tournaments where, the previous Eastern Clash, they just got completely knocked out, but they actually have given a fighting chance to actually try to stay in the tournament.
yeah.
And those were the biggest surprises. Now, MVP Black losing to L5, like, in my heart, of course, I wanted MVP Black to win, but, it was surprising that L5's tank looked so on form. Like, in the span of 2 weeks, I don't know what they did in training, but he looks
something
on point
drastically changed, man. That was not the L5 that we
Yeah.
saw in regular season play.
now.
No, that
the
was
main
completely
tank, what's his
different.
face? Like, he's got to be a different guy because
Right? Like, I don't know what happened there, but something drastically changed. I'm going to pull it up right now. Why can I
But
not find it?
the thing I want to get to is the entire Asian scene right now looks like a neutered version of itself a couple months ago because it looks weak.
I would agree with that. They felt very flat.
Weaker as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hooligan is the player that you were thinking about.
Yeah,
who
Hooligan,
replaced
yes.
Noblesse, right? Noblesse was on fire. Hooligan seemed pretty weak, but seems to be doing better now, actually.
Something happened.
Maybe they boot camped the hell out of him, and we're like, all right, dude, like, we need to fix this. But it was interesting to me. I do agree with you. I think Taiwan and even Southeast Asia looked better. Deadly Kittens took a game off CE. Soul Torturers beat SPT. Like, Super Perfect Team looked. I have to be honest. Super Perfect Team lost to Team Face Check 2-0, and then lost to Soul Torturers 2-0. I would have never picked Super Perfect Team to be knocked out immediately like that, ever. I was in shock. I was like, what just happened?
And their entire roster actually made it to the event, right? So
Right.
it wasn't like a visa thing. So
No, it was bizarre. Like, I didn't know what happened there, and it was like, it confused the heck out of me. But then, like, Team Face Check took a game off CE. Soul Torturers took a game off MVP Black. They didn't get past there, but they still had better showings than they have ever in the past, right? Like, I was
Taiwan as a
impressed.
region looks better than NA does right now. Like, even though they got, smacked down when they actually faced the Titans of the region, they look pretty good regardless.
They do look a little bit better. I will agree with that. You know what I look forward to at BlizzCon? Perhaps seeing some Taiwanese teams play NA.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Right? And, like, let's see what actually happens. So... All right, anything you want to add there for what happened in that tournament we just had?
I'm just surprised at how weak they look.
Yeah.
Just even China too. Like China, had its heyday in the beginning of Heroes eSports, but they ever since Korea came onto the scene, they've always been second place in that area of the region of the world.
Yep.
But even considering that,
I
they've had
definitely
their moments.
Yeah.
They look weak. Korea looks weak. Like even L5 looks back on form, back in shape, but they still look weak compared to what the Europeans are showing.
I have to be honest. I thought both Super Perfect Team and CE were going to do better. Bahgz and I had that discussion last week. I definitely did not see
CE always
that
has
going
hype behind them, but they're the Temple Storm of China.
Oh man, that was good. That was good.
When have they ever lived up to the hype? Never.
All right, I can, yeah. All right, I can dig that.
They always do well in their region, and then they go to an international tournament and
they
just
fall
flat.
apart. Yeah, but I mean, like, I expected better, at least of SPT, right? What? All right, Ratchet's asking a question. What do I think it is about China's mentality towards drafting that makes them lean towards such odd comps? I feel like, so that's a good question, Ratchet. I feel like what you end up seeing a lot of times out of the Chinese teams is something that they feel a little more comfortable with. So I'm going to use Super Perfect Team, for example. Like, they definitely like to go with stuff that's a little less on meta. So, like, if you look at... Let's see, I'm trying to find a good one right now. No, that's pretty standard. I cannot... All right.
Well,
go ahead.
Rex's holdout. Tyrael, which is a very Chinese pick.
Yes.
Malfurion, which is a whatever. But Chromie Nova Malthael.
Right. Like, they do...
Right.
So, it's almost like they want to be hyper-aggressive, but they can't quite pull the trigger on it, to answer your question, Ratchet. Like, they look to make a crazy play and go hyper-aggressive, and then they, like, get halfway in, and they're like, shit, maybe that's not going to work. And they, like, back out a little bit. It's weird. Like, I think Chromie Nova Malthael was real. I think they had a reason for that. I have no idea what on earth that reason was. But I think that was a real pick.
Yeah. I mean, Malthael is pretty good on two-lane maps, yeah. Just because there's the 4-man versus 4-man that...
Right.
Malthael can take advantage of, especially when they crowd around the point. I can get that pick. Well, Chromie is a good poker. Malfurion has very good zoning with his roots and scouting drone. I mean, individually, I can see why they picked those heroes for that map, except for Nova. I don't get why Chinese like Nova so much, but...
So Nova actually... So here's my thing, right? Nova's actually not good, but Nova's actually not bad. So my problem with Nova is that, like, Zeratul better. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like...
And has the superior ultimate, superior burst.
Right.
More mobility.
Right. So, like... No, I think...
But anyway, that was that draft was the only super odd one.
Right.
The other drafts, they would kind of go really heavy dive,
Yes.
Dive aggressive comps. Like, Greymane Cassia. Or, Vala Illidan with a Tacit, or, just super
And the other thing I was going to say is I think in that specific game, they were thinking we need something that can blow up the Ariel or blow up the Uther, right? You're not going to blow up Cho'Gall with those.
Oh, I didn't even see the other side of
Yeah,
the
it's
draft.
Cho'Gall, it's Cho'Gall, Uther, Dahaka, Ariel. So it's basically just we're gonna win the Zerg wave.
Look. Okay, now that we've seen the other side of the draft, this draft's not even worth talking about. Okay. All right, screw this. That was a mistake bringing up this draft.
So it was honestly, it was strictly, I think it was an answer to the other team's comp, and it just didn't work, right? They weren't looking to kill the Cho'Gall. They were looking to isolate and kill one person, whether it was a healer or Dahaka. Because the Cho'Gall's hard enough to kill. And the way that draft went down, it was, that draft as a whole was jacked up. Let's just, that draft as a whole, completely jacked up.
Yeah, but
it made sense.
I want to say, I'm not a huge follower of the Chinese scene, but ever since the Chinese esports scene began, they've always been weird, and it just seems like Chinese esports, it doesn't matter what game it is, they have their own little atmosphere because they're so isolated from the rest of the regions, and I don't know, I guess they just like aggressive style comps because that's the stereotype of Chinese esports, Chinese heroes.
Right. Okay. Does China dominate in any game that you know of?
Dota.
Do they? I thought Korea was back on top in Dota.
Korea is not in Dota. Not really.
Okay. I'm thinking of League, aren't I?
It'll be like China is 50% of winning the international, and then it would be the North American or European teams trading the other 25%.
Well, because Team LiQuiuD just won the crazy Dota prize, right? Yeah.
But top 4 was all Chinese.
Oh, really?
Yeah, besides LiQuiuD.
That's crazy. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's we're gonna jump into another topic. Let's see here what happened. All right. Trent wrote a interesting article this week. I don't know if you had a chance to read it, but Zoya got it wrong. Why HOTS teams need a gaming house? So my question to you is: should Heroes of the Storm teams have gaming houses?
As long as it's done right.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
In Heroes of the Storm so far, team houses are get a house, stick 5 people in there. There you go, a team house. But a team house requires a lot more than that.
Right.
And my experience with team houses goes back to StarCraft.
Okay.
Where they would have, a team house and then a huge living room where they put all the computers, and they would have, a dorm style situation. But it would, over there would be a coach reviewing replays and making sure the players are taken care of. They would schedule gyms. So they would be forced to go exercise at a gym. So, if you're sitting down all day, you actually, need to go outside and do things too. So just so that you're healthy. And then they would have people come in and cook every day.
Yes. See, I agree with everything you just said. Everything you just said. So what's interesting is I think if you look at what Zoya was talking about with the Tempest Storm house, they didn't really have any of that. They had Zoya and the team, and that was it.
And Zoya's not the kind of guy, no offense to him, he doesn't walk into the room and command and demand attention. He's just kind of like another one of the guys making dick jokes, and he's gonna be be serious and try to schedule scrims and whatnot, but just from the things he says in town hall and all things like that, it just doesn't feel like he doesn't hold the players accountable enough.
No,
Because-
he does. I'm gonna equate this to what I do for a living, right? You have managers that don't know how to manage and don't know how to lead, and that's
Yeah.
Zoya, right? And if you don't have that, if you don't have someone that can do that, you end up in this place where it's like, you know, what could we do? Like, what, having everybody in this house is not gonna do anything, right? I think Ogre has a good point. You know, if number one team in the world, they're all from the same region, they live near each other, and they have great camaraderie. Yes, they have that, right? And when you have people spread across the country, whether it's here, whether it's Europe, spread across Europe, like whatever it is, like the gel just doesn't quite set right? And I think I was actually talking to my wife about this, and she's like, well, yeah, but that's expensive, and there's not a whole lot of money in HOTS, right? Well, okay.
That's true.
This is true. But I counter that with, yeah, but some of these teams already have League of Legends houses. So, you know, and while it probably would suck as an org to have to take money from what you're making from League of Legends to try and, like, prop up a HOTS team, and that's really why they don't do it, right? Because there's no money in it. But you could do that, and you could create that kind of, we're gonna buy a slightly bigger house, we're gonna go dorm style, and we're gonna put, you know, our League of Legends guys in this living room, and we're gonna put our Heroes of the Storm guys in this living room, but all 10 of them are gonna live together. And we're gonna use the same gym guy, we're gonna use the same chef guy, and maybe we have 2 coaches in there, right? Because it's not the same game, so having 2 different coaches makes sense. But you can share a lot of the, like, you can share the manager if you want to, right? Because if the manager's just dealing
But
with scrims,
How
and
many
things like
orgs
that.
actually share games like that, though?
Well, they don't, and that's the crazy thing. That's what, like, I would love to own an esports team. Like, that's my long-term goal here, is to eventually own an esports team. And I look at that and I say, man, if I had a Dota team and I had a League team and I had the ability to put them both in the same house, I would do it. Because you only have to increase the size of the house a little bit. Right, because you do like you described. You do dorm style rooms, right? 2 beds to a room, or 3 beds to a bigger room. You know, most houses that size will give you at least 2 living rooms, so you can separate the 2 teams for their practice time, and like totally, you know, they can talk to each other about each of their games. They can, you know, like it's more than just what you would get out of a single game house.
The biggest issue is, though, that it's expensive, and
Yes.
all these orgs that have the, you know, intent to invest in esports have the money, have the capital, and have the, you know, dedication, and, you know, they are not going to Heroes because they're going to Dota, they're going to League, they're going to Overwatch now. So why would they come to Heroes when there are other, you know, esports getting the attention and the whatchamacallit,
Right.
shine something,
Yeah.
spotlight.
Spotlight. Yes. Spotlight.
English, huh?
English. So yeah, no, I agree. Right, and it ultimately comes down to money. But
Yeah.
at the end of the
But-
day, if you want to be the number one
There-
team,
It's kind of like a catch-22. They're not big because there's no money, and there's no money because they're not big.
right, and like what comes first, right? Like,
And like, to kind of solve that problem, Blizzard has to invest a lot of capital into growing the scene, like artificially inflating it so that other orgs are
Right.
interested. But they've already done that to a point. It's worked a little bit because we, you know, now we have Space Station Gaming, Roll20 Esports, but it's
but those are the little guys, right? Those guys aren't going to throw the investment behind it that you know, some of the other teams would, like some of the big
well,
league
baby
or Dota
steps too.
teams.
I
Right.
think Blizzard is looking at this as a 5-year thing, where guys like us, we want it now. We want it
Right.
within the 6 months to the next year. It's kind of hard to, you know, be, you know, farther looking, or, you know, planning that far into it when we're just casual fans of the show. We go, you
No,
know,
we
we're
want
watching
it
this
to be-
game week
yeah.
to week, you know, match to match, where Blizzard is, you know, going, you know, year to year.
Nope, I get it.
quarter to quarter.
I totally get it, right? Yes. I want it now, right? I definitely want it now.
Yeah.
I want the big team. I want Splice to come in and have a team. I want other big Dota and League teams. I want, like, bring in the big... But to do that, right, ultimately to do that, you have to have a much larger prize pool at the international tournaments, and it's just not there. It's just not.
Yeah.
So...
I mean, it's getting there slowly. And, things like HGC Cheer. I mean, Blizzard, they obviously care, and they're doing
Yes.
slowly implementing programs so that the esports scene is growing. But we have to be careful and be mindful that Heroes Esports is just a small slice of the whole esports pie, and
Right.
that it's going to take a long time and a lot of capital to actually increase
Get
that
there.
slice.
Ogre had a good example. Like, corporate sponsors are showing love. They could build regional houses and use those as game changes. So like Intel, Razer, Corsair, Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm gonna use like T-Mobile. T-Mobile just announced a partnership with Team Solo Mid, right? Like, they could build regional houses, larger houses, and
Yeah, but Team Solo Mid is one of the largest.
well, yeah, right. I mean, that's a bad
franchises in
example,
the
right?
world
I'm
right
not,
now,
not like not TSM, but like, but T-Mobile, right, or Corsair or Razer or Intel could build a bigger gaming house regionally and say, oh, you're on the West Coast, cool. Here, your team is basically on the West Coast. Move them here. Here is the gaming house. This is part of our sponsorship that we're gonna, do with your team, right? Like, and again, there's not gonna really be a return for those guys in the Heroes scene right now, so you probably won't see them put a Heroes team in there. But
I mean,
like, that's
things
the way
like
to
that
do
are
it.
starting to happen, but it's unfortunately not in Heroes as much as it is in Overwatch and League.
Right. So, all right, man. Here's my question. What do you think is going to happen in Phase 2, Part 2? What are we going to see? Pick a region, any region, Phase 2, Part 2.
Let's go Korea.
Okay.
MVP Black #1, bitch. And then L5 and Tempest.
So you think MVP Black is going to overcome L5 in Phase 2, Part 2?
They're going to look at the replays. They're going to see the VODs. And they're
Okay.
like, this shit is what happened. We're going to fix it. And they're going to fix it. And then they're going to come back stronger than ever.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
I agree with the top 3 you picked. I actually
Just not
kind
the
of
order?
hope. Well, here's the thing. I kind of hope that MVP Black will do that. I also have a lot of love for Rich. I'm not sure they will. I hope they will. I'm not sure they will. I think we'll find out some good results in the first couple of weeks.
Yeah.
The first couple of weeks,
And
you'll be able to
then-
tell if they noticed what they did wrong.
In Europe, I think. In China, I don't know too much about China, but I think it's going to be the same couple teams. Super Perfect,
Yeah.
CE, E-Star. Yeah, I mean,
That's not going to change. In China, that won't
that's been
change.
the story for the past year and a half.
Yes. All right, what about EU?
Well, Fnatic by far #1. No one's going to touch him.
Okay.
And then I think Expert, they've shown a lot of promise, so I'm going to be paying attention to them. And Dignitas, see if they're bouncing back, because they had a small, jump in their play,
Yep.
like right before the clash. So we're going to see if they've been training and hustling and, getting that momentum in their favor, and see if they can continue that. I'm going to be paying attention to that.
All right, so I have 3 questions for you I want to go over in EU, sort of. Do you see Team LiQuiD or Tricked Esport finishing in the top 3, or do you think it'll just be Fnatic, Expert, and Dignitas?
I think Expert and LiQuiD are going to be fighting for the 3rd spot pretty heavily.
Okay. And you think it'll be Fnatic, Dignitas, assuming
I think
Dignitas
so, yeah.
has their stuff worked out?
Yeah. If the trend that Dignitas has shown continues, I think it'll be Fnatic #1 by far, Dignitas, and then a close 3rd, it would be Expert or LiQuiD.
Okay. All right.
That's what I think.
Okay. What about The other question I want to ask you is, how do you feel about Zealots being in 6th place now as the team that came in from the Crucible and actually moving up out of the bottom 2 danger zone?
Good for them, because, like, I think they showed a lot of promise when they actually, came in for the from the Crucible, and they kind of failed, but they're starting to crawl back, and they should. I mean, I hope they keep improving, because this is the perfect story that you want as an esports fan,
Right.
that a team makes it through open, gets into the scene, and then actually has success, right? Instead of like the NA story right now where Niventic holds to their spot and then the org leaves them, and it's so sad, but
Right.
Europe is actually showing growth and promise. So, like, Ogre says, yeah, I feel like Zealots has a lot more promise than Plain Dex, and I do agree with that too.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I mean, do you agree? What do you think?
No, I totally agree. I think Zealots, look, I love BKB, so I feel bad with Team Good Guys being down in last place, but I don't think they've quite meshed yet as a HGC team. I worry about them being on the bubble. I think Zealots is actually like a 5th, 6th team. I think if they continue to improve at the rate they're improving, they can even move into a 4 or 5 team. I don't think they can crack the top 3 before Midseason Brawl 2018. I think
no one ever expected them to be more than top 6.
Nobody even expected. Actually, if you go back and you look, a lot of the pros didn't think they were even going to break out of top or bottom 2. A lot of
really?
nobody thought Zealots was breaking out.
They've barely beaten expectations, so
yeah,
let's
but
not
like
count it out yet.
Right, but they've only had 5 weeks of consistent play at this point, right? So
yeah.
You give them a little bit, and if they continue to grow the way that they're growing, yeah, I could see them being a solid 5-6 at this point. So, all right, let's jump over to NA LUL.
NA LUL.
I mean, we are clearly like the laughing stock, So,
I am so done with Temple Storm. Aren't you?
That's it's funny that you asked that. I feel like I'm on the outside, man. I'm always like, God, I hate Tempo Storm so much. Like, there are players on Tempo Storm I absolutely love, but the team as a whole, it drives me nuts. And like,
they've done multiple times when they lose and get knocked out of a tournament, they refuse to shake the hands of their opponents.
I did not know that. That's disappointing. That
they would lose. They would lose, sit at their computer, and then the opponents would walk over and be like, "Hey, good game," and then extend their hand, and then they would just kind of be looking at their monitors and sitting.
Wow.
Until like one of the players was like pretty insistent. They'd be like, "Oh, you were there? I didn't know," and they just kind of shake their hand like haphazardly, like.
That's disappointing.
They've done that multiple times.
I'll have to watch for that next time. But yeah, I like players on Tempo Storm. I like the org. I definitely like the org. I don't like the team. I feel like the team needs to change.
If Tempo Storm was on any other region, they would never make it to these clashes.
No. No way. Not a chance.
And like they would just, be an afterthought in the overall, national meta, but they have the advantage of being on NA. And NA sucks so much that they can actually make it to the clashes,
right?
And represent our. It just feels bad, and Roll20 is disappointing right now. Team Freedom is the only glimmer of hope, but they didn't actually show up.
Execute, right?
But also that was also part of their brackets. They had a pretty tough bracket to go through, and unfortunately, they weren't able to, make it past. But.
All right, so
Team Freedom, that's who I'm rooting for, and I'm hoping Roll20 eSports figures out their issues and is able to turn it around, because they didn't have a good showing.
No, they didn't. So, all right, I'm gonna dive into my thoughts on NA, but first I'm gonna answer iRushYouDown's question. There isn't any player that I specifically don't like on the team of Tempo Storm. my issue is the team as a whole. It needs to, like, something needs to change. This roster will always keep them where they are in NA. They will consistently be top 3 in NA group play. They will consistently end up going to international tournaments, and then they will consistently struggle at international tournaments. I wish that wasn't the case, but I feel like that is the situation that they are in. Kala is a great coach. They have a great organization around them. The players themselves are awesome people and good players mechanically. But something is missing from their team that is keeping them from taking the next step. It could be something as simple as like Dignitas changing who the shot caller was. But they did that on Tempo Storm, and it doesn't seem to be helping. Now, maybe that's why they're still struggling. And maybe, you know, in Phase 2, Part 2, we'll see a different Tempo Storm, and maybe they'll make believers out of all of us. But right now, Tempo Storm clearly has an issue that they need to figure out how to solve, and they haven't figured it out yet that we have seen. So that's my question, or my answer, I rushed you down. I hope that kind of answers what you were asking. Now, I love Gale Force Esports the same way. The org is kind of frustrating to me because they still don't have a coach for GFE unless they just signed one and I missed the news. GFE needs a strong coach. They have a lot of solid players. I still disagree with... I think picking up King Caffeine was fine. I disagree with bringing... It's not iDream. It's...
GFE is also falling into that same pattern of Temple Storm of they're
right.
representing the NA, but they're not actually able to do
But they're not able to do anything. Something there needs to change. I think the problem there is not talent. I think the problem there is they need a solid coach to, like, crack the whip.
Maybe. Because individually, all these guys are great.
Right. That's my problem with GFE, right?
Except for maybe Udall, but...
Even Udall, I think, is a good player. I think the problem with Udall right now, right, if you look at Udall in Dorm and you look at Udall now, there's a difference. And the difference is what he's being told to play, right?
Perhaps.
Udall at Dorm was a shot caller, and he drove everything that team did. Udall here is getting overridden, right? So I think if you look at Tempo Storm, or I mean, if you look at GFE, like, way back in the beginning when it first was GFE, and Udall was clearly running it, it was awesome. But then as you moved into where things started to change and Udall didn't seem like he was in charge of the team so much. Not that he was ever in charge of the team, but you know what I mean? Like, the power shifted.
Yeah.
Udall started to, like, play less well, right? So I feel like, I like Ogre point out, GFE coach Cavalier Guest, that could actually work for them. I don't think it would, though. I think they need a firmer hand, but maybe it would. I don't know. I don't know how well Cavalier Guest would coach, right?
Cavalier Guest seems that firm, though.
Right, that's my point, right? Like, he doesn't seem like he'd have the firm hand he would need. But I mean, what do we know, right? He's never coached me, so I don't know. Maybe he would have that kind of a firm hand on a full team, right? Who knows? But that's the struggle with GFE. I think the two best bets that NA has right now are Team Freedom and Roll20.
That's exactly what I was going to say, yeah. So we're on the same page in NA.
Yeah. Team Freedom and Roll20.
Sad situation, but there are some up-and-coming teams.
And I like Roll20, I think if they, like, they're also going through a struggle right now. I think if they can right the ship, they can dominate again, right? They did it. They can do it again. They just need to, like, figure out the funk they're in and get past it. It would be, yes, I rush you down. I think it's more Fan's team now. And I think Fan is great as an individual contributor. I think having him run the team is where they struggle with GFE. And that's why I think they did better as Udall was running it. But they need to have somebody that's not those guys running it. And then Ogre pointing out that behind the scenes, Cav being a monster, he just straightens a bow tie and breaks out hell. I could 100% see that, right? So that's why maybe he would, right? We don't know. But I think back to NA as a whole, I think Space Station Gaming could do okay this second part, but they're not going to be, like, over the top. Superstars is on its way out. They might survive the Crucible only because even in Death and Neventic, I think are having a contest to see who can end up in last place. But I feel like Superstars is not. They made some changes, and those changes didn't work out.
Yeah.
So.
By the way, Space Station Gaming, pretty badass logo.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's awesome.
That's how.
I love that we're bringing new sponsors into the scene too, right? Like with Roll20 and with Space Station Gaming. Like these are cool things.
Baby steps.
Baby steps, man. All right. I have 2 more questions, and I think we have enough time to go over both of them for you. BlizzCon predictions. Do you have any BlizzCon predictions? And one of your predictions can be which Chinese team won't be able to go because of visa issues.
I think it'll be 2 Chinese teams that won't be able to go this time.
Okay.
E-Star and
CE?
Who was the other? What?
CE has had visa issues.
Yeah. E-Star and
too.
CE.
right.
Those 2 guys.
Those 2 guys are out. All right. Do you think?
And then the Taiwanese teams will be the subs, and then they would have a good showing, and then there will be new Taiwanese overload. Let's do it.
All right.
Taiwan number 1.
This goes into my next question too. And can Korea beat Fnatic? Or anybody for that matter, but can Korea beat Fnatic?
Why you do this to me, man?
Look, dude, wait. Now, one of the things that you and I have always agreed on was that Korea was badass, right? Korea was like so much fun to watch, and Korea was like leading the charge, right? And they're clearly struggling right now, which you've already brought up. So my question is, I would love to see Korea beat Fnatic, but I don't think anybody's beating Fnatic. I think, as of right now, I think Fnatic is BlizzCon champion 2017.
Now, for those who haven't seen my face, I am of the Korean persuasion. And I know my name is Bacon Hots, not Kimchi Hots, but that's another story. I am MVP Black's biggest fan since forever. I love Rich, but let's be real. I'm real. Fnatic number 1 right now, and it's just a fight for second place with the rest of the teams right now. That's what it is.
Yes. See, that I would agree with. It's crazy that we're saying that right now. And look, there's 6 weeks or 5 weeks of group play. This could all change, man. Fnatic could I don't want to jinx Fnatic, so I'm not going to say anything that I was about to say. But Fnatic could have a turn in how well they're playing, right? Anything can happen. And so we could see Fnatic not be first place. But in the form that everybody is in as of today after the Western Clash and Eastern Clash, Fnatic wins BlizzCon 100%.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
No question.
Cool. All right.
Unless there's some weird food poisoning thing.
Right? Or
crossing my fingers.
Right. I can't. I'm not gonna say anything because I actually would love to see Fnatic cap off this year of wins with a BlizzCon win. They've won basically everything. If they win BlizzCon, they won Mid-Season Brawl. They won Western Clash, and then BlizzCon. Dude, that caps off a great year. I would love to see him win that. So.
And that would actually mean, as sad as it is to say, that it is a new overlord.
Yeah.
New European overlords.
And then didn't Western Clash... They finished second in the Western Clash. So...
Who did?
Fnatic.
Dignitas?
No. Fnatic finished second at Phase 1 Western Clash. Because Dignitas won. Remember, we had an all-EU Phase 1 Western Clash where LiQuid was third, Fnatic was second, and Dignitas was first. But then Dignitas made the change right after... No, they didn't. They waited until Mid-Season Brawl. So, yeah, then Fnatic went on a tear. But still, a second-place finish and then all wins the rest of the year, that's an incredible year. I would love to see that wrap up that way. All right, speaking of wrapping up, do you have anything you want to add, or you want to wrap the show up?
I think you got me to say a lot of sad things today, so I'm good for now.
I gotta be honest. I did not think, given the amount of news we had, we would fill an hour and a half. But we're like right at an hour and a half, dude. So
Yeah, we were talking before the show. Oh, it's gonna be a fast show. Yeah, no problem.
no, but nope, we're gonna go an hour and a half, no problem. All right.
Yeah, we were looking at a 30-minute show, bro.
Right? And all of a sudden, it's like 90 minutes later. There you go. That's what happens, man. You know what? Honestly, I want to thank chat, right? I Rush You Down, Ratchet, Ogre. You guys were throwing out stuff like all night that like really kept it interactive. So I truly I appreciate that. Thank you, Twitch chat, for hooking us up and helping us get 90 minutes out of this show. All right. So thank you all for listening to Trollin HGC, a weekly podcast about Heroes of the Storm eSports, a member of the Trolls.gg podcast network. We stream live on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/TrollsGG, every week on Wednesdays, following the Nexus Trolls, starting at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Pacific. Bacon, where can people find you?
You can find me at Twitter at BaconHuts. That's one word. No underscore or anything. And then you can find the podcast I'm a part of at gamepushsquad.com. And just a final reminder, this Friday, the 18th, twitch.tv/gamepushsquad will be going live for the first time. And we're going to have live video only segments where we'll go through how to fulfill your role as a support to the max best of your ability, and it's gonna be fun. We're gonna do John Madden telestrating things and draw dicks on the screen and things like that. So that's gonna be fun. And we'll be giving out codes too. So if you want some Battle.net balance, we're gonna test the chat's heroes trivia knowledge, and the winner of that will get some Battle.net balance. So.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to go in there and win
no
some.
No Nexus Trolls can win.
What?
Nope.
Bacon or
if
no, it's all right.
If you promote the show on Twitter when we go live,
I will. I will. You know I will. No, it's cool. I actually I support keeping it to just non-affiliated podcasters, so I totally get that. One other thing Ogre pointed out, starting tomorrow, that is August 17th, Legendary Chess for Heroes of the Storm will be available for Twitch Prime users, so make sure you go in and get your code for that. And actually for the next 4 months, they're going to be giving away chests pretty regularly.
It's 21 chests total, and one of them being legendary.
Yeah, and the legendary starting tomorrow, so that's gonna be pretty cool.
I mean, enjoy your 400 shards. That's how it's gonna end up
for me. Yeah. All right, I can be found at Twitter at LiQuidGG, LiQiuDGG. I tweet before I go live, no matter what I'm doing, so that's the best place. I do try to cast games. Both Chair League and HGC Open Division, but I have been swamped lately with work, so I haven't been able to do that very much. But follow me on Twitter. You will find out when I go live. Thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. This show will always be free, but if you like the show and you're looking for a way to support us, you can do so at
patreon.com/gamepushsquad.
Nope, sir. Patreon.com/trolls.GG. You can also subscribe to our channel. You can cheer us because we are affiliates with Twitch. All of that money is going towards BlizzCon swag to give out to all of our listeners and viewers. So check that out if you can. Subscribe to our show. Oh, that reminds me. Even if you don't want to do one of those things, you can also help us out by giving us a review on iTunes, whether it's 5-star or not. Same is true on Google Play. Help us bump our podcast up so we can get some more visibility into the internet as a whole and get some more viewers in here, because that is one of the ways that you can definitely help us out. So you can also subscribe to our shows, obviously, on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you happen to find your podcasts online. If you can't find it somewhere, DM me on Twitter. I will go and attempt to set that up if I can. You can DM me, or you can DM the at Trollin HGC. Visit our website at www.trolls.gg to watch this and past shows, along with past video streams, which can also be found on our YouTube channel. If you want to hang out with us in the Trolls community in game, just type /join Trolls GG in game, or join our Discord channel, trolls.gg/Discord. I'm usually in Discord all the time, and when I'm in game, not actually playing, I'm also in that chat channel, just kind of hanging out. Bacon's in there a lot too when he's not actively climbing the hero ladder. So check that stuff out.
You could also join us in the channel Win Time too for any of the Game Push fans out there.
Also,
I thought I
yep, I let that one go.
Plug that too. Yep.
I let that one go. For announcements about the show and Heroes of the Storm esports news, follow us on Twitter at Trollin HGC. Finally, if you need to get in touch with us, hit us up on Twitter. That's the best way. DMs are open at Trollin HGC, or email trollin@trolls.gg. Thank you all for watching, and have a wonderful evening.
Good night.